It is 5:35 a.m. on day 71. Obviously I woke up early, set my alarm for 5, got moving really fast. The headlamp isn't really necessary, and the GoPro just makes things darker than it looks, but not really necessary for hiking right now. But getting an early start on the day, because today is the day I attempt my first 40-mile day. So in the plan I concocted yesterday to go as far and fast as possible to Timberline Lodge, which is 50 miles south of Cascade Locks, by the 15th. That includes doing 140 and 150 mile day. Like I mentioned, those are things I have wanted to try out anyways. But today is the 40-mile day to see how that feels. If this 40-mile day feels possible, then the rest of the days will all be 33 minus the 150. And so if this goes good, then I will commit to my plan. And it's the same thing for Milkman. I convinced him to give it a shot as well. He said I'm the first person who's ever tried to get him to do more miles. Normally we're the people of the group that try and get everyone else to go faster and further. But he had a blister pop up because we both got new pairs of shoes in Ashland. I switched brands, he just switched versions, but he had a blister pop up and has been chafing, so he'll see how today goes, and if he doesn't feel comfortable, then he won't go forward. But this is something I really would like to challenge myself with, so regardless of whether or not he feels comfortable, if I feel good, I think I'm gonna go for it. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Woke up a little bit earlier because yesterday I finished by 6:33 miles, which would have left 7 miles left in the day, and I could have easily finished that by like 8:15 or so, 8:30 if I started going slower. And so I gave myself an extra like 45 minutes this morning, so I still wouldn't arrive at camp too late. But you can't really see anything when I turn around, so we'll wait till it is lighter to show you the scenery. A cool little lava rock field. I am 1.5 miles away from my lunch spot, which will be 21.6 miles into the day. But just want to give an update on my shoes. So my feet, the bottom of my feet, are definitely getting more sore earlier in the day than they did with the Hokas. So even right now I'm only at 20 miles into the day and the bottom of my feet are sore. Now, that could just be because I'm still breaking in the ultras, but what I think is more likely, and what I knew about the ultras, is that they just don't have as much cushion as the Hokas do, which is why I chose the ultras for the Oregon section, where I knew the trail was softer, and I had planned to get my Hokas to finish off the trail in Washington. But anyways, if the soreness doesn't improve, I have, including today, the next 7 days are going to be really high mileage, crazy days. So I'll have a lot of mileage to break in the shoes. So if the soreness doesn't resolve, then when Chad comes to trail days, I'll have him bring my Hokas and I'll trade out and go back to my cushioned shoes. Like, my feet aren't hurting at all, they're just sore, which, you know, I could tolerate, and I'll have to for the next 7-8 days. But if it continues, it's just not enjoyable, so I'll switch to the shoes that I know worked with maximum comfort. The moss on these trees is crazy. I don't know if you can really see it too well. It looks like it's strangling like the regular branches. So far, Oregon is reminding me a lot of the Appalachian Trail. Not at all in climate or vegetation or anything like that, but in the fact that you hike all day and there's not really any views. Not like there was in California, like there's no, I mean, I can't see like all day today we've just been in the woods or the lava rocks this morning, but not really any particular views. It does suck that this is happening right when at 2.5 months into my hike, when things are starting to feel more mundane, and then add in the fact that Oregon is not as exciting, and that is part of why I'm doing this 8-day really hard push, is because I'm at the point where I need more excitement in the day-to-day hike, which I'm hoping Washington will provide, and I'm ready to go home. I love the hike, I love being out here, and I don't want to leave early or anything like that, but it is at the point where things are getting repetitive out here and it's not as exciting day to day. Also, doesn't help that Oregon has a lot of blowdowns that we're constantly having to navigate around. So Oregon just wanted to prove me wrong when I said we're just hiking through woods all day without any views. Look how incredible this is. It is 6 o'clock and I unfortunately have only made it 35 miles, which means I still have 6 miles to go. My hope was to make it to camp by 8. My reach goal was 7:30. 7:30 is definitely not going to happen. 8 might not happen either because I still have to stop at the last water before camp to stock up on water, and then I also want to soak my feet a little bit and clean up. So it might be 8:15, but it is all downhill from here, thankfully. No more uphill, or maybe like only 100 feet or so. It is 7:30 and I have 2.2 miles left to camp. I just left the last water source before camp, and then there's water like 4.5 miles after camp in the morning. My feet are definitely hurting, and I did find a blister on the bottom of my right pinky toe. It turns out 37 to 38 miles is when the rest of my legs start, so you know, my quads, everything, start feeling crappy as well. So I did spend 15 minutes at the water source, not only collecting water and filtering it, but also soaking my feet, because they
very much need it. I would have preferred, you know, to soak at the end of the day at camp and also not delay getting to camp, but no water source at camp. And again, my feet need it after today. So I'll be getting to camp around 8:10 to 8:15. Set up my tent, eat, and go to bed. The mosquitoes are coming out. This is the first time in Oregon, and honestly the first time really since the Sierras that they've been a problem at all. So as much as I hate mosquitoes, I'd say I've gotten very lucky so far with that. But I'm gonna put the camera down and focus on getting to camp. I still have 1 mile left to camp, but I'm officially at 40 miles. That 15-minute break at the water source is making me feel a little bit better, a little bit of improvement in my energy and my legs feeling better. My feet enjoyed a temporary numbness from the soak, and I will obviously make it the last mile to camp, but it is not making me feel optimistic or confident for the 50-mile day that we're gonna do, because another 10 miles, another 3 hours of hiking, 3+ hours of hiking, honestly sounds quite miserable. But that's a problem for 6 days from now. The next 5 days we have normal miles of 32 to 34 miles, and then the last day before we get picked off the trail, we'll do a 50-mile day, and then we'll have several days of rest for trail days. So we're gonna kill ourselves right before we're able to get off trail and don't have to keep hiking beyond the 10 miles that'll be hiked the morning after. Unfortunately, no good view of the sunrise because of all the trees tonight. Good morning from what I think is day 72. Getting started late this morning. I mean, it's 6:10, so not that late, but definitely did not get up when my alarm went off at 5. I had such a hard time falling asleep last night, which is weird. You think after hiking 41 miles I'd be tired, but I was reading till like 9:30 or so, which is normal for me, and then turned off my electronics, lay there. Milkman didn't make it to camp till 10:30, and I was still laying awake at that point, but he got very delayed because of blisters and pain and everything like that, but he did make it. But then ultimately I didn't fall asleep till sometime between 11 and 11:30, so had a hard time getting up because I'm just really tired, and also it is chilly out. My thermometers are in disagreement. My the normal thermometer with the mercury in it says it's like low 40s, low to mid 40s. I have an app on my phone that says it's low 50s, so somewhere between low 40s and 50s, but definitely the coldest morning we've had on trail in a while yet. Standing up today, getting up, moving around, my leg muscles feel fine. The bottom of my feet are still a little bit sore. I popped a blister on my right pinky toe last night, but you know, that's still a little bit tender. And the inside of both my heels are a little bit sore. I have pretty large calluses in my heels, and I'm wondering if I got a little bit of blisters underneath the calluses yesterday, but it's walkable. Today we have 16.6 miles to get to the road to walk into Mazama Village at Crater Lake, where we'll take a several-hour break, pick up our resupply packages
because there is resupply there, but it's expensive, so pick up our resupply boxes, see if it's worth paying whatever price to eat whatever food they have, which I am already leaning towards yes, and then hang out at the campsite where the camp hosts allow free charging, and just hang out there for an hour or so before, to leave us with enough time to enjoy the Crater Lake Rim Trail and get that done by 7:15 when we have a prearranged ride to help us skip the miles. So the PCT from Crater Lake, from Mazama Village to the end of the rim trail. The rim trail is not the PCT, but it meets back up and intersects. But the PCT between Mazama Village and where it intersects at the end of the rim village, or rim trail, is closed. And then it's also closed from that point all the way up to a road that leads to Shelter Cove Resort. So I can't say I understand why, but the rim trail that's only a couple miles away from PCT is still open. So we're going to do that alternate instead, which I had planned to do even if the PCT was open, because the rim trail is the more scenic one. And so we'll do the rim trail and then get picked up by our prearranged ride and skip the closure and go to Shelter Cove Resort. That will have us skipping about 67 miles to the fire closure. It is sad that we won't get to Shelter Cove Resort till about 8:30. And their restaurant closes at 6 and then doesn't open till 8 in the morning, which will hopefully be gone by then. So we won't get to enjoy any food at Shelter Cove, which I hear is better than the Mazama Village or Crater Lake. But it is what it is. I just have to check in with them today to make sure they're not running on a generator, so that when we get there that late, we can still do laundry and take a shower. But anyways, today will be our lowest mile day of the next week. It's about 32.5 miles. That includes the side trails going into Mazama Village and whatnot. So if we can cut any of those off, we'll make our day shorter. But anyways, chilly morning. I didn't even look at really the elevation too much, but hopefully it's like the first 2 days of Oregon, where it's not going to be bothersome. I am starting to smell smoke, and I can see in the horizon that it's really hazy. There are a couple different fires that are causing these issues. There's one that's causing the closure in Crater Lake. I don't remember the name of that one. There's also a group of fires called the Diamond Complex that are causing the closure of the PCT right north of Crater Lake. I haven't had enough service to check and see air quality or how much the fires are contained versus spread or anything like that. But if you look, I don't know what you can see on the GoPro, but there's the very, very faint outline of mountains up there, but can't see them very well at all because of the smoke. So when we get to Crater Lake Mazama Village, we will have to check in on the fires, make sure the closures haven't spread, make sure the rim trail is still open, etc., and just do our research with due diligence. This has to be a decently old burn for the grass and the evergreen trees to be the size they are, but especially with the haze from the smoke, it makes this feel like a post-apocalyptic graveyard or something. So earlier, when I said my legs weren't sore, just the bottom of my feet, that was definitely a lie. I just needed a little bit of uphill
and a little bit of stepping over logs to activate the soreness, but I am definitely feeling it. It's not any worse, you know, than after a race or a hard hockey game or anything like that. It's not painful, but my legs definitely are sore. I feel like I'm moving slower, and I would love to have a soak in an Epsom salt hot tub right now, but instead I'll just walk off the soreness over the next, whether just today or over the next several days, just walk it off, and hopefully eventually I'll get back to normal, and then I'll have many days off for trail days. So I don't know if I've explained trail days yet or not, but it is in a town called Cascade Locks in Oregon, on the Oregon-Washington border, August 15th and 16th. Anyway, trail days is basically a party and yada yada. All the gear companies come. There's music, food, raffles, I don't know what else, but wanted to plan a visit with Chad, and we planned to coincide it with trail days because I wanted to do both, and that way I didn't have to take time off trail for trail days, and then to visit with Chad. Just made it into one. So Chad's gonna fly in on the 15th. He'll come pick me up, and Milkman. So we'll only plan to do like a Nero on the 15th, like 10 miles or so. Chad will pick us up. We'll have the 16th and 17th as 0 days at trail days. And then the 18th, Chad's flight is very late in the day. So we'll have a Nero on the 18th. He'll drop me in Milkman or Rocket might, either way. We'll get dropped back off on trail on the 18th and do a Nero less than 10 miles then. So that is what is helping me push through this week, is knowing that I essentially have 4 days off at the end of it. I should add, the trail does walk through Cascade Locks directly through the town, which is one of many reasons why I imagine trail days is held there. We just don't have the perfect timing to walk into trail days. Even with pushing hard this week, there's no way we would make it there on time. Cascade Locks is right at 2100. We are going to make it to Timberline Lodge, which is 50 miles south, so that's as close as we're able to get. We'll be picked up from there and then get dropped off back at Timberline Lodge, and then 50 miles later walk through Cascade Locks and experience the town again. As a random thought, I've lost most, if not all, of my natural cushion, and now at the end of every day there's a visible mark on my hip bones and on my collarbones from my hip belt and shoulder straps, and it's generally always sore. So I don't know if there's just, and I think I have the backpack with one of the most cushion on the market, so I don't know what people who are even skinnier, how their bodies handle this. Okay, so I'm really hitting the start of the southbounders. So 75% plus of PCT hikers go northbound, but there are others, of course, who go southbound, starting in Canada and going to Mexico. I've seen, prior to today, only like 1 or 2, and already this morning I've seen at least 10. So obviously that is Crater Lake. I'm on the rim trail. It is normally a normal alternative to the PCT through this section, and right now it is our only option because the PCT, which is it's that way behind those trees a couple miles, is covered in smoke from a fire, so it is closed. And like I mentioned earlier, we're just doing the rim trail, then getting picked up where it meets the road, and then getting shuttled ahead 67 miles to skip the next fire closure. But obviously Crater Lake is beautiful. You can see the haziness of the smoke over there, and even it is hazy over in Crater Lake as well. But still feeling tired today. Stopped in at Annie's restaurant at Mazama Village. Well, first the general store at Mazama Village, where I'd sent a resupply package. They do not charge to pick that up like most places do, so that's awesome. And then went to Annie's restaurant for a chicken sandwich and fries, and hung out there for a couple hours, charged my things, and just relaxing, and then got back on the trail. Random topic. Most of the time where we hike, where we're around non-hikers, the towns we go through, etc., the people in those towns are familiar with the PCT and know who we are and what we're out here doing. But walking through a national park like Crater Lake, a lot of these people obviously are visiting the area, so I've gotten the impression today that we are like zoo animals. People keep staring at us, wondering why we're so dirty, why we have backpacks, what we're doing out here. And then we have had so many people ask us where we're from, where we're hiking to, etc., not knowing that we're on the PCT or what the PCT is, etc. But it has definitely been a different experience for me today, being in the national park compared to most of the trail towns we've gone through. I have a half mile to the road where we're going to be picked up. When I get there, I'll have about half hour to 45 minutes to relax, eat dinner, and then it'll be an hour drive to where the place we're being skipped around the fire closer, during which I really hope to sleep. But also that means a half mile till I get to be done hiking today. I don't know how many miles I've done at this point, nor do I care, but it's too many. Whatever it was. I'm in a very cranky mood right now. My body's feeling wrecked, has been just gradually feeling worse throughout the day. My legs are so sore. Different aspects just keep getting worse soreness. No significant pain, thankfully, but just so sore. And it's just knowing that I'm just gonna have to keep waking up day after day and keep putting my body through this, and that the next easy day, I know I'm doing this myself, but that next easy day won't be until the 15th. And then the hiking is just starting to feel so repetitive. I love the trail so very, very much, but it's starting to become repetitive day in, day out. Wake up, hike, eat, sleep. I need something to change. I'm hoping that going to trail days, seeing Chad, and then getting into Washington will be that change. But mentally and physically, just feeling really worn out today. really still love the trail, but just not liking it today would probably be the best way to phrase it.